the emergent crippled, let's move on to the crippled emerger now. Basically what the difference is it's more of a traditional emerger type looking fly, whereas the emergent cripple was kind of a half nymph and half adult pattern. So to start with, as you can tell, the wings have been bent over. And that's the reason we call this a crippled. Crippled meaning something's out of the ordinary about it. Something's been damaged, whether during the process of the emergence or shedding of its shuck. It could be the wind or a number of other things. But you can see just how bent up the wings are, especially because you have a point of view looking at it and seeing the same thing that I am. And that's all made possible from what we call a POV camera, or point of view. So get started here. Let's start with the same hook again. This is your standard curved hook that's been used for shrimp or scuds or caddis patterns. And we'll get our thread going. Get our thread on there. Now we're ready for our tail. For the tail, what we're going to be using is some soft tackle. For that, and since I want to be using some yellow or olive material, I've selected a hen neck from Whiting Farms, and this one happens to be dyed in the blue-winged olive color. So we're just going to pull off a few fibers from the bigger saddle area, and we're going to tie those in there so they're just about the length of half the length of the hook shank. Get a couple of thread turns in there to hold on to it. Now we're ready for the body. Just like before, once again we're going to be using D-rib, just so we can have a little bit heavier body so it sinks below the surface while the thorax remains on top. If for some reason you can't get the D-rib or you don't want to use it, you can always use micro tubing. You can use dubbing if you wish, or even better yet, some goose biots. So we'll just get started here, wrapping this forward, making sure that D is up on top facing us, so we get that nice segmented hump look to it. Get up here, take a few turns of thread there and cut off our body material. Now we're ready to stand that hook up, and we're going to do some work on the thorax now. To begin with, we're going to tie in a hackle. From the same neck that we used the tailing material, we're going to select a neck hackle, which is a little bit shorter fibered here, but as you can tell, the overall feather is fairly long. But then again, what would you expect from Whiting Farms? They have done some just tremendous things with hackle. Now that we have our hackle in there, we're going to go up to the hook eye. At this point, what we're going to do is tie in our wings. For the wings, what we're going to use is some medallion sheeting. This particular color that we're going to be using is the light dun. And that's just so that we have an appearance of more of a haline or clear appearance to our wing. It comes in a multitude of colors, and you can pick whatever color that you want. Now we're ready to tie this in right behind the hook eye. And you want to give it a nice little tug, take out the wrinkles. Now we can just fold those to the front and get them out of the way so we can finish up our thorax. And that's the nice thing about using synthetic wings. You don't have to worry about damaging them. You can just move them out of the way, and then when you're ready you can put them wherever you want. For the thorax and underwing, what we're going to be using is a fairly new material which is called ice dubbing. At present, It is the finest reflective dubbing on the market. I mean, I'm sure you can tell from the point of view camera here, as I start twisting this around in the natural daylight camera from Ott Lights, you can see how the UV placement of the dubbing in there just has a whole lot of reflection in it. And that's one of the attributes that we're going to be wanting in our emerger crippled pattern. So to start with, we're just going to take this whole clump of dubbing, come in and just pull out a pinch of fibers. Then we take it again, and then we're going to come in and cut it so it's nice and even, and just tie that down right in the thorax. Continue backwards to we're at the back of the thorax. Since it's tied in there pretty good, we just pull on it until we take out all of the excess. Then we're going to take some of that same dubbing and dub the thorax. So as you can tell, this ice dubbing is a very, very versatile material. It can be used for underwings, trailing shucks, as well as being used for dubbing. We'll just dub our thorax. And I'm not dubbing it real tight on purpose because I want it just a little bit shaggy. Remember, we're talking about cripples here, so we're talking about a fly that somehow has been damaged, whether during the emergence or after the emergence, or Mother Nature just didn't particularly like this individual and put a curse on it. Wrap that hackle forward, tie it off, and we'll cut off our excess. Next thing we're going to do is just come in with our sharp scissors here, trim the hackle flush right on top, take out all those loose fibers. And as you can tell from this point of view camera here, I'm going to take a couple turns backwards into the hackle. Now I'm going to pull these wings back. Pull them kind of off to the side and just tie them down, just like so. Now I have the wings in the placement that I want, and in the process I've kind of created a little bit of a head. So we'll just take our thread up to the head area and we'll finish it off. Here again, you can do it by hand, or if you wish, you can use one of Stonefly's whip finishing tools. Tie it off, and we cut off our thread. Now we're going to stroke that medallion sheeting and the ice dubbing straight back, and we're going to trim it to about the length of the body. And just trim it. Now we're ready to round off the edges, just so it looks a little bit more like a mayfly wing. Come on the back side there. And then you kind of pull the soft hackle to the side. Just kind of pull and push up on it. Just kind of scatters it, making them just kind of land softly on the surface of the water. I mean, that's a pretty good emerger right there. But to turn this thing into a cripple, what we're going to do is just like before, we're going to come in with our fingernail, grab it, and just pull on it. And what that does, it curls up the wings, thus making them look unnatural or damaged. And once we get that all done, the fly is complete, and that's what we are calling the crippled emerger.